As of 10 a.m. today, severe tropical cyclone Winston, a Category 5 system, was located about 50 kilometers east-southeast of Taveuni, moving towards the two main islands.
This morning at 7 a.m., the report that came from the Vanuatu was that 99 knot was recorded at that time. So you can imagine the strength of the winds the tropical cyclone Winston has, and the strength of these winds is slowly going to spread to the rest of the populated areas, especially on the Vanuatu and Viti Levu.
Due to the high pressure to the south of Fiji, tropical cyclone Winston changed track overnight and has moved further north of its projected track. However, be as it may, the sheer magnitude of the system means that the whole of Fiji will be affected in the coming hours.
In a Category 5 systems, just likes of tropical cyclone Oscar, tropical cyclone Bibi, more in the recent decade was the tropical cyclone Amy, and just last year tropical cyclone Pam. So these are all comparable tropical cyclones in terms of its category and the wind strength that is currently being experienced. So on the path of its the destruction that we may see can be comparable with these historical tropical cyclones.
The Weather Office has stressed that Fijians must act now while there is still time.
And the advice to the people is that please be prepared at all times and be prepared to embrace these destructive storm force to hurricane force winds as the cyclone draws closer.
Stay tuned to our next bulletin at 3 p.m. for the latest from the Weather Office. Madhyam Bolaitamana, FBC News.
These people weren't taking any chances earlier today, flocking to supermarkets before tropical cyclone Winston reached the Central Division. FBC News spoke to Alumedi Sex as she left a supermarket, a trolley full of last-minute shopping, while other family members were putting up shutters.
We are kind of like running around last-minute shopping, all the stuff that we need for the house, and especially food. And as you can see, people are coming into the shop, doing all their last-minute shopping. And also we're putting up the shutters and everything on the window because I'm not really sure how strong this wind is.
For 24-year-old Apetai Eterika, who came from Kiribati, says it will be the first time for him to experience such an event.
Really scary. This is like our first time to encounter this kind of cyclone since we just came from Kiribati. It's going well. We have prepared like our water supply and doing our shopping right now.
65-year-old Eddie Rose has already had a few broken windows at his home in Flagstaff due to the strong winds. We found him frantically putting up shutters for safety.
Yeah, I've done my shutters up, and so also my food and candles for tonight.
The Fiji Meteorological Office is advising the public to prepare themselves well and not to take tropical cyclone Winston lightly. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
This is footage from Savasavu earlier in the day when tropical cyclone Winston battered the town with torrential rain and storm surges. Iconic places such as the Copper Shed seen here to be experiencing severe winds and rough seas. FBC News spoke to a resident on Taveuni Island, Cordelia Stalls, who lives near Mate, also reported trees being uprooted and devastating winds.
The wind started picking up like early this morning. It was still dark. We really weren't prepared because we thought, we were getting warnings, but we thought we'll wait early in the morning and then we already got sandbags and all tied down the roof. But then we thought it would come slowly, what we can see is it's really, really strong, much stronger than what I thought it would be. But then branches, leaves, everything just flying around the house. We all barricaded inside the house, roofing iron across the windows and all, so that nothing comes through the louvers.
In the old capital of Levuka, the situation was worse. FBC News was able to contact Steve from Overlau Resort in Levuka, who who gave us this update from the old capital.
This is the fastest number 5 I've ever heard of in my life. This is the most devastating. Rain is coming down as well. The average speed must be 250k. I mean, I can't tell between 10 and 20k, but it's just ripping roofs off. Old bar. We're a heritage place, and our old bar is just being ripped apart. We sent the people who work with us. They went home. They don't work on a Saturday normally, but they came in this morning. They've gone home to look after their own houses. I can tell you every house in Toki village, which is our next door neighbour, will be destroyed, and all the way up to, I think, probably Ruku. This is the largest hurricane that I have ever been I've heard of. 320k is unheard of, and that's what the gusts here must be.
People are being advised to stay indoors and adhere to all warnings.
Throughout the night, as well as tomorrow morning, damaging heavy swells with flooding, including sea flooding of low-lying areas.
This is what is left of Tailevu. Damaged houses, wrecked bus shelters, destroyed churches, flooded villages, dead vegetation, and a lot of misery. Tailevu province was hit hard by the Category 5 cyclone, leaving them surrounded by destruction and facing the huge problem of rebuilding their community and their lives almost from scratch. William Lord of Waitoa settlement in Wainimbuka, 20 minutes away from Korovo town, says the first dangerous winds hit on Saturday afternoon. This is what remains.
Patina rotemna vitu na kaloko. Sabi ako kumana ambatin lang. Hausa tol sara tonro. Tole baru ngai vale, beta na vale go. Kita sa anro kita nroi vale. Kita sa ni indoraka kita le takapati vale. Kita sa lindambe sartunga kita vara de turang patin lang go. Hausa tuda kita mateni katu balake, hausa re den sa bukan ndoka ni vale tol sarwa. Sa bukan na vale. Kun kawai taka. Ana kaya tulang morto na nawabo kitchuma hirto na kami tora na tukutuku.
Lord says Winston was so strong that it ripped apart houses in neighboring Waitoa village. 20 families in Eyala village were forced to seek emergency shelter at one of the teachers' quarters when winds ripped through Eyala Secondary School, which had earlier designated as an evacuation center. Classroom blocks, hostels and the school office are all that's left with their roofs damaged or blown away.
Sa wadalan kirna dalin ka kirna korul kirngo tubut kay sonaval ni sonang gasul tunggo naval ni principal tataw kirna ka Todo ako sarna, bebe 2, 3, 4, bebe 5 na classroom tu pada dan kenna delin kawa.
FBC News visited other villages in Wainimbuka where residents were seen sunning their bedding, swimming across flooded rivers and transporting food and belongings by mbilimbili from one village to another while waiting for water levels to recede before they begin cleaning up. This was Nayavu village, the hub of Wainimbuka, when FBC News visited it yesterday. Of more than 78 houses, only a few stood still with their walls in place, while the rest were destroyed by the Category 5 cyclone. However, villagers of Nassau Toka spent the whole day gathering up what they could of their belongings, including parts of their homes which had been blown onto the King's Highway. Nassau Toka Primary School was badly damaged with all their classroom blocks standing roofless. Despite this, the Bula spirit was with the people of Wainimbuka as they helped each other rebuild their lives. The spirit of unity in a common cause was evident when youths from around Budalevu, Neilangi, Vivewali and neighboring villages spent much of yesterday afternoon clearing debris and removing fallen trees in order to open Nambulini Road for the public and emergency vehicles. For now, the people of Wainimbuka continue their joint effort towards recovery and restoration as they wait for government's assistance. Ako si Tatalay, FBC News. These villagers dropped everything they were doing to assist health officials at the Nayavu Health Center, transport 2 children to Korovo Hospital that sustained major injuries from tropical cyclone Winston. The 2, aged 7 and 10 from Manu village, lost their mother due to very strong winds sustained on Saturday night. FBC News spoke to the children's father, who was also seen with niggling injuries.
We started experiencing this very strong wind at around 6:30 p.m. on Saturday evening. The first 2 rounds that came wasn't really strong. However, when the 3rd round came, it was very strong. So I told my wife and the 2 kids to get ready to leave. But when they were still packing, we could just feel the wind carry the whole house. Carried us together in the house for nearly 100 meters before it threw us down a river. This is where my wife died instantly. My 2 children were hurt.
Viala Seru seen here with her son and grandson making their way down to Vivewali village after burying her husband, who died instantly when he was blown away with parts of the walls of their house. She struggled to find safety until she joined other villagers who were sheltered under the floor of their community hall. Seru says this is one of the most painful and emotional experience ever, having to lose her husband and father to their 4 children in the cyclone.
When I was blown away, I didn't know my husband was also blown away and landed in another place away from me. When I regained consciousness, I looked out to seek for help, but all I saw were trees swaying left and right. I was so scared, I hid under the roof iron again. I did that several times till the winds died down, but when I stood up, I didn't have any clothes on, but just my t-shirt on, and just started crawling and crying at the same time because I knew my husband and I had parted ways. I crawled up our hill and down the road again looking for help, but every house I crawled to had no more walls but just floors left. I had lost hope when I looked around and never saw any house standing.
When the winds died down in the morning, Seru, along with her youngest son and a few others, searched for her husband and found his body lying between corrugated irons. The 3rd incident is a 24-year-old boy of Nasimbitu village, where he died after the post office house fell on him. The boy was also buried by his family yesterday. FBC News also understands that a woman from Nasinu village in Tailevu died from major injuries
she sustained from the strong winds and heavy rain. Akusita Talei, FBC News.
Having received all the information that the authorities had on hand, Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama says Tropical Cyclone Winston has left behind only destruction. Bainimarama has urged all Fijians to remain vigilant.
In the meantime, I urge every Fijian to stay mindful of your surroundings and stay indoors. There is no telling whether the cyclone is gone for good, so we need to act accordingly. That is why it is important that you adhere to instructions from government and avoid dangerous situations.
There is confirmation tonight that 5 people have lost their lives as the direct result of TC Winston. Details surrounding the deaths are still emerging. Another concern for the government are the islands in the direct path of TC Winston, including Taveuni and parts of the Lao group. The Prime Minister confirms that all emergency agencies are active. The cleanup process has begun and every community will be covered in the days to come. The outer islands, however, will take some time to reach.
We are working hard to make your streets and communities secure once again, but that will take time. So I ask you for your patience during this time of crisis, especially for those of you in rural and maritime regions. Fijians who have lost their homes and property have been sheltered in evacuation sites, while government explores how to best care for you over the long term.
Bainimarama adds teams from government agencies, private sector and other organizations have been working around the clock to restore essential services and get the country back on its feet again.
Particular emphasis will be placed on reconnecting our Eastern Division to our national grid so we can urgently assess and address the damage in our maritime regions. We are also working hard to keep the Fijian people as updated as possible on the restoration process. In some cases, the electric power has been intentionally cut off in order to prevent more severe damage.
Bainimarama reiterated that the national curfew will be in place until 5:30 a.m. tomorrow to protect lives and property. Ellen Stalls, FBC News.
This is the trail of destruction left behind by Tropical Cyclone Winston at Ratukandabulevu School in Tailevu. The school head says massive damages caused by Winston is one which will take long to repair.
Nearly all the classrooms we have damaged windows and blown out roofs, and so we may not be able to start. But we can start. We can, if the government wants us to start after a week, then it will be on a limited scale. But for the whole classroom, whole class, whole students, all to start, I don't think we may not be able to start as it is. The supporting staff quarters are badly damaged.
Some students experienced the cyclone for the first time.
I was frightened and couldn't hold back tears thinking of mom and dad back at home. I saw trees uprooted and even electric poles damaged. Tree branches fell off and even our dormitories are all flooded. Even roofs were flying everywhere. This is one of the worst cyclones I've ever experienced.
RKS students are currently on a break with the Education Ministry to decide on the starting school date shortly. Savira Tambua, FBC News. Tropical Cyclone Winston. At QVS, 13 classrooms and 1 physics lab were completely destroyed. QVS Vice Principal Osea Koli says the school still awaits confirmation on the relocation of students.
So if the minister decides that the students will find home zone schools, then he'll just inform the schools around Fiji that the Queen Victoria School or RKS students out in the air, and maybe they be accepted into schools that are near their homes.
Vice Principal Colley vividly remembered how TC Winston smashed doors and louvers on Saturday night and left nothing, tore the roofs of teachers' quarters and severely damaged classrooms.
4 Form 4 classrooms, 3 Form 7 classrooms, 2 Form 6 classroom, 4 Form 3 classrooms, 1 physics lab, the Victorian building there, which houses 2 Form 4, and at the bottom we have the staff room and the whole computer lab. That's totally out.
Present, they are awaiting an evaluation of the damage and have no idea when repair work will begin. Sainia Nimbuela, FBC News. Nothing prepared them for the onslaught of tropical cyclone Winston. This is what this family at Vuya settlement in Nambowalu came home to. Debris strewn everywhere, their household items scattered in the field outside, crops destroyed, and no roof over their head. Our house was damaged, so we ran to another concrete house. 2 families were already there. We started to cook food for the 3 families as water caused by the strong waves and heavy rain took down the house. The house started to wreck into pieces, with the roof falling off due to heavy rains and gusty winds. As some relayed their stories of how they struggled to run to safety when their homes were being battered by the strong winds, waves and heavy rain, other members of the family were just standing around trying to take in the extent of damage to their property. We've been told to run for our lives. We ran, then swam to the other side with his baby. As we reached the other house, it started to go down as well. We looked for safety places to hide ourselves and tried to reach the village safely. As tropical cyclone Winston leaves Fiji, these families are now left to pick up what's left of their homes and try to soldier on. We are pleading to the government if we can be helped as soon as possible. These families and the countless many others along this coast in Boa are now trying to put their lives back together, and we can only hope that assistance reaches them sooner rather than later. Eleanor Turangaibiu, FBC News.
Tropical Cyclone Winston is one of the deadliest storms since Cyclone Meli in 1953, which claimed 53 lives. National Disaster Management Office Director Ataposi Tuifangalele says reports from the 4 regions are still coming in and the figures are bound to change.
We have 27 injuries that are actually being reported from the Western Division. The Northern Division, though there is no figures over there, we know that the Northern Division is also one of the major hit areas in the country. The Divisional Commissioner and his team, they are also working around the clock to actually get some figures across to us, and so we should be able to provide you later on that one. For the Eastern Division, what we have got so far is 3 that have been hospitalized and 39 that are being injured. These are mostly for the Lomaiviti group, and for the Central Division, we have 3 injured.
Tuifangalele says the Western Division evacuation centers hold the highest number of evacuees.
The evacuation centers so far, as I mentioned, Central has 122, the Western has 110, Eastern 9, with the North 33, with a total of 274. In terms of the evacuees that we have, the Central Division has 4,880, with the Western Division 6,483, 514 for the Eastern Division, and 2,035 for the Northern Division.
All government departments are working around the clock to ensure people who have been affected are assisted in every way possible. Farzana Nisha, FBC News.
Situated on the northern side of the Ilebu, Goma Island was also battered by Cyclone Winston. Winston has left devastating destruction and major loss of properties.
From the 60 houses in the village, 40 were completely destroyed with nothing else left in the house. Our village bridge was destroyed and we also lost 2 village boats which drifted out to sea.
Village headman Sailasa Naisele says the experience of Cyclone Winston is something they will never forget.
I have come across Cyclone Bembe and other cyclones, and none of them is as strong and as destructive as this one. On Saturday afternoon, our village was okay, but when we woke up the next morning, everything was gone, and many villages just broke into tears.
This is in the middle of the village, where 7 houses are situated here before. Families are evacuated just
For some of the families, nothing was left. They were satisfied. There were no loss of lives. Few villagers shared their experience, saying that they were lucky enough to escape death.
This is one of the strongest cyclones I have come across. But I don't care if my house is destroyed. I am happy of the fact that I am alive.
I was with my 2 kids in the house when our roof went off. So I hid them under the bed and I called for help in the village for my 2 kids to be taken to another house.
I have nothing left. This cyclone is so destructive. Many of us will die. It's the strong winds were very terrifying.
Hundreds affected villagers are now picking up the pieces and finding ways and means to survive before any relief assistance arrives. Tears can only tell what 56-year-old Tomasi Tuivuna went through during Cyclone Winston.
If you see the damage, this says it all. Even for me, I'm old, but I managed to be strong and survive the whole night long. All I can hear is children crying and families are running around for shelter.
With only some of his clothes left, Tuivuna says he is lucky to be alive.
I was in the house when the roof went off, so I ran and hid under the table, and the next thing I know, half of the house was gone. I ran to the back of the church to find shelter, and when I looked back, my house was no longer there.
Tuivuna is undecided as to how he will rebuild his life again, as everything he hoped for has been destroyed. With furniture, eating utensils and bedding completely destroyed, Tuivuna is hoping that someone will be able to help him in his village of Goma. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
Picking up the pieces from what was left behind by severe tropical cyclone Winston, villagers of Corvo in Tavua
the tropical cyclone that
about
just
their
left
day
us was
in
stronger
the
than the
aftermath.
one in 1972. In 1972, we only left with 5 houses because they were old Fijian Buris. For this one, all the houses are well built, especially the government houses that were just built were severely affected.
Chapekabua says the urgent need for the village and its surrounding communities is safe drinking water and food, as most root crops
We are
and
now
vegetable
using
farms
water from the
had
well
been
for
destroyed.
washing clothes, washing dishes. No food was left. Root crops and vegetables, they are all gone. Nothing was left.
Kavua says the village evacuation center is still being populated by those whose homes had been destroyed by Tropical Cyclone Winston, while the village cleans up the debris
During the
left
cyclone,
in its wake.
some people left their houses to go to other houses. There are 3 to 4 families staying in one house due to their houses have been severely damaged by Cyclone Winston.
The villagers say they will continue to do their part in rebuilding their lives from the devastation of Tropical Cyclone Winston, with the hope of getting some assistance from those in authority.
Devastated by severe tropical cyclone Winston, the island of Tavuni lies in ruins. Authorities are still trying to establish communications with the island of Tavuni, which they have not been able to reach so far.
What he has said in the meeting today that we should expect some communication with what he has said in the meeting today that we should expect.
Commissioner Northern Chavesa Vodea says their detailed damage assessment teams have been deployed and will be back soon to compile their reports on the various centers. Rehabilitation, housing and rations will be determined after the reports are received.
Sabu should be completing theirs tomorrow as well as Bua, and Tavioni Sabu should be completing theirs tomorrow as well as Bua. Once we collate all those information Friday, because and that will give us an indication. So once we collate all those information that is required, that will give us an indication.
In the meantime, tents and tarpaulins are being sought for temporary residents of these affected people while they wait for their homes to be rebuilt or repaired. Ellen Stalls, FBC News.
Villagers of Luvunavwaka in Tele were still trying to come to terms of what devastation tropical cyclone Winston brought. Ilimokoroi says whatever happened on Saturday night is like a nightmare, and if the storm had continued for a few more hours, he doesn't believe they would have survived.
I was staying in my house with my wife and two of my grandchildren. I did not want to move to another place, but when the cyclone hit us that night, my son came and took us to his place. After a few minutes, I saw the roof of our house blown away and the rest got damaged. This is the worst cyclone I've ever encountered, and I can still remember when Cyclone Meli hit us in the 70s, but this one is much stronger.
This is the situation at Luvunavwaka village this morning, where affected families are provided with shelter and food by nearby homes, which were not badly affected. Village headman Tebita Tonotonomata says they urgently need help. Out of the 23 houses in the village, 17 are totally destroyed. Sabera Tambua, FBC News.
On the island of Naviti near Sawa sits Gonu village, the damage of Cyclone Winston everywhere. We arrived the first to do so. One of the villagers was merry-faced after being seriously hurt. Rachel Ivunimbala is the wife of the Turanga Nikoro and tells some more than 40 homes are completely damaged. She tells us she almost died during the height of TC Winston.
I saw the walls of my house has tumbled and was badly damaged, but I managed to cover myself with my blanket and just stayed there, waiting for my husband. My husband later came and took me. We went down to cross the flooded river, and I prayed to God if I had to swim to get to the other side, I would do it, just because I wanted to survive.
School teacher Varenisese Sakialevu also had a death-defying experience. Day 4 since TC Winston, and survival, she says, is now a constant worry.
We went out to look into the villages. It is a very terrible experience, even looking at that their houses, leaving them without any food. Some of them only have the clothes that they wear, nothing left.
You all been able to come together and put some food away?
We have only the things that we have collected from that night. Even the thin stuff, some of them are dented. We've got wet sugar, but we know that we have to make use of it since it's a cyclone season. We won't be having access to the boat. We don't know how long it is for the rations to come. But for now, we are just making use of all the things that are available, the coconuts, the root crops, and everything that we know that we could eat.
All right. Thanks for answering.
The class 3 teacher breaking down. The concern, she adds, isn't for her, but for 160 students and their families that call this shell of a village their home. Wahid Deo, FBC News.
Seeing firsthand the trail of ruination left behind by TC Winston, which slowly but surely is building up as the worst natural disaster we've come across.
It'll take us a while, but as I said, we will get back on our feet. We need to, we have to. There's no other option.
Prime Minister Voreng Bainimarama's first stop was Nasinu village in Dawasamu, Tailevu, and in this time of dire need, he tried to lift the spirits of people who have no reason to smile. Bainimarama's message was simple. First priority is food and water in the short term, and then the government will turn to rebuilding schools and homes.
Oh, that's the nation's next priority. We can do everything at the same time. Provide assistance, relief work, but at the same time, we want to start building homes so that they can go back to the homes that they once shared.
Another stop in Dawasamu was Silana village, speaking to the injured, assessing the situation and promising that no one will be left helpless.
This is what's left of Dawasamu Primary School. There's no roof. The classroom is littered with wet books, pieces of furniture, pieces of the roof lying all around. This is a stack of books belonging to somebody by the name of Pedeli. Pedeli is a year 7 student, and this is all that's left of his exercise books. Wet, soggy, no use. Same thing with Aseri, another year 7 student. Her English composition book is completely useless now. And this is the picture in almost every village that we visit. Schools damaged, textbooks destroyed. The next step is to get the students' education back on track.
In some areas, you may have to extend the deadline that was given by the minister. In some areas like this, where there's no evacuation center at all for them to move to.
Relief supplies have already started reaching every community where road access has opened up. Trucks loaded with basic needs drove in and out of Dawasamu all day.
This week, the Prime Minister made a commitment that relief and rations will reach every affected community, and now that promise is being delivered on. We're in Silana village in the Tikina and Dawasamu in Tailevu North, and as you can see, there are bags of food items, basic food items being unloaded in Silana village. We're looking at boxes of split peas, there's flour, there's rice, there's milk and other basic necessities, enough to tie over this village for the next few weeks until sustained relief and assistance can be provided.
Everywhere we went, there was destruction, damage no one ever thought would have been possible, entire homes gone, electricity poles littered on the road, and large, strong trees broken like twigs.
As you come past, you'll see all infrastructure is down. Electric wiring and road and water. Think of what the Fiji government has put into this infrastructure in the last 30, 40 years that has gone down in the last 24 hours when Winston came around. So we need to put that back online.
The Prime Minister says the government's response will be flexible based on the individual needs of communities, but people in vulnerable areas must also think ahead and maybe consider new sites to rebuild their homes. A tender has already gone out for construction firms to build rural homes. Edwin Nant, FBC News.